Welcome to another episode of 100 Ways to Make 100K. I'm your host, Javon.ca, and this is the show where we're on the hunt to find 100 different ways to make 100 grand a month. And today we are joined by none other, the one, the only, the legendary Bill Dowd. Now, he's the founder of a business called Skedaddle, Humane Wildlife Control. Now, he wasn't born just doing wildlife control. He actually used to be an ex-professional hockey player and transitioned into a brand new world. And I can't wait for him to share with us the story of how he went from a professional hockey player to now building a franchise that spans North America wide. I think now they're at about 60 locations with 15 different franchisees. We're here at their HQ in Hamilton, and we're so excited to meet him. I can't wait to introduce you, and I can't wait to give Bill a moment to introduce himself. So Bill, thanks so much for having us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for coming, Javon. This is exciting times, and what a great concept. And yeah, let's get into it.
Appreciate it. Maybe before we get too deep into things, you could give kind of people a snapshot of what it is that you got going on and where you're at currently. And not physically like in Hamilton, but just like where the business is, how big it is, what type of operations, what type of stats you're keeping your finger on the pulse on, just so that people know who it is that they're listening to.
Sure. So Skedaddle was founded way back in 1989. So we're in our 35th year in business. We do humane wildlife control. We also do more environmentally friendly pest control. We do attic restoration. So these animals damage your attic space with urine and feces and ruin your insulation. So we clean that up and re-insulate. We do professional Christmas decorating. And then our newest revenue stream is mosquito control. Because mosquitoes and ticks are a big problem nowadays in society and homes and residents and neighborhoods. So great revenue streams, and we're franchises across Canada and the US. So we're growing. We're looking for great people to come join us and continue to grow the brand across North America.
Man, this is really exciting. Now, were my stats correct? Are we at 15 franchisees and 60 different locations?
Yeah, we're about 15 franchisees and about 50 locations throughout Canada and the US. And most of our franchise locations, they're not happy with one location. They buy 2, 3, 4, some up to 5. So it's really a fun business. There's never a dull day, whether you're dealing with baby animals, hanging Christmas lights, or making people happy. It's a real fun business.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Now, when you were playing hockey, did you ever think that you'd be in this position right now?
No, when you're an athlete, that's your main focus. That's all you do. You focus whether you're skating, shooting a puck, throwing a football. That is your focus. You live, breathe it. So with any athletes, transitioning out of the playing arena into the business world is difficult. So yeah, I never thought I'd be here. You get your first truck on the road, your second truck, and basically any city within an hour radius of Hamilton, we were successful. Yeah. And then we just kept growing. Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, and then franchise, out west in the US. So
see, it's crazy when you say it like that, because it sounds like, it was just like one step after the other, and it was just like smooth sailing, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I get it. It's 35 years that you're telling us in 35 seconds. But I want to go back to that kind of like before you even got the first truck. You're still playing hockey. Why did you stop?
Well, I was drafted by the New York Islanders way back in the early 80s when they had just won their first Stanley Cup.
Ooh.
And they happened to win 4 in a row.
And they said, we need Bill. We need this guy.
Well, they drafted me, but they were winning cup after cup for 4 years in a row. So it was a very tough lineup to crack into.
Yeah.
Played a few years in the minors, bounced around the US. And, I just got to the point where it became a job. And whether you're, catching raccoons, hanging Christmas lights, an accountant, whatever you are, if your job isn't fun, it's time to move on. So I kind of retired at a tender age of 24, 25 years old.
Wow.
Left my last year of the contract, said, sorry, I'm retiring from the NHL.
Wow.
You sign an NHL contract, even if you're playing in the minors, and went back to school. I was going to be a phys ed teacher. Took physical education at Brock University in St. Catharines.
Wow.
Didn't get into teachers college, and just kind of fell in this line of work. And it was fun. It was enjoyable.
Dude, how do you fall into an attic cleaning out raccoons? Like that doesn't make sense. Like you don't just fall into something like this. How did you even get exposed to this world?
Yeah, I had a cousin that was kind of doing a similar business, and it was in Toronto.
These cousins, man, they're up to no good.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, Toronto's the raccoon capital of the world. Well, no, we see just as much raccoons in Hamilton, Montreal, Ottawa, Maryland, Vancouver. So I thought, okay, Hamilton's a big city. There has to be raccoons and squirrels there. And I came here and it worked here. And then we just expanded, anything within an hour's radius, and just kept growing and growing. Yeah, that's what I really enjoy, is seeing people be successful, whether they're my employees or staff, my franchisees, when they can, come on board and grow and have a successful business, that's really what drives me nowadays.
Yeah, now that's what drives you. Back then, what was it? Do you remember?
Well, making a livelihood,
Making a livelihood.
My first truck, and then I bought a second
Well,
truck.
how did you even find out how to do this wildlife control? Wait, you don't just all of a sudden get off of a hockey team and be like, yeah, it's the same stick handling that's going to get the baby raccoon out of the soffit. Like, it doesn't happen like that, right? Like, how did you learn this stuff?
A lot of trial by error.
Okay.
I made a lot of mistakes.
Okay.
And with anything in life, when you make a mistake, you got to learn from it and get better.
Yeah.
And, my father was in business, at different businesses. So
not pest control.
Not pest control.
Okay.
And I just kind of learned that it's all about customer service. And even to this day, we don't compete on price.
Yeah.
We compete on customer service. I will give you the most exceptional customer service you have ever gotten. And that we still pride ourselves on that. When we have a chat group for all the franchise owners and staff, and getting a review in Vancouver or a review in Sudbury or Halifax or any, and it just makes my day when I see a client that our franchise owners are the same philosophy as us, that it's all about customer service.
Yeah. Do you remember your first customer?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You got to paint the picture, man. I remember my first customer to this day, and I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you even, why did you make that decision?
Same thing as my first client. I still have the invoice.
No.
I think it was a job that was, $200.
It was probably the best $200 you ever
got. It was. I felt, I thought normally this job would have taken us, nowadays maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was there all day. It was a skunk underneath somebody's front porch. So we have to, dig a trench a foot deep, a foot wide, get the animal out, and then we have to animal proof that front porch. So it was thick concrete, and I just had a little cordless drill with a regular drill bit. I didn't even know that there was concrete drill bits and better drills to get through this. So I'm drilling all day long.
That's so funny.
It took me 8-10 hours on a Saturday. I started at 8 in the morning. I finished at 8 at night. It was a 12-hour day. And for $200, I was on the top of the world. I made $200 that day.
How did you get the customer? How did you meet them?
Well, back then it was all Yellow Pages.
Okay. So at the time, you have no business. Like, you're not even in business. You're not even set up. Right? What are you, just picking up Yellow Pages and calling people? Did you say the first thing that I'm going to do is put an ad? Like, how did you even get that customer?
Right, exactly. So, bought a truck, got a logo on it.
So you bought a truck and just got a logo and said, what, screw it, I'm off to the races?
I'm off to the races. There's got to be wildlife,
somewhere.
Not just in Toronto, but all over North America.
How did you know how to price this thing and how to shape the offering and how did you learn this?
I thought back then, $200 in 1989 was a lot of money. So okay, well, that sounds good. And it was just trial and error. And the first Yellow Pages back then came out in July. Was Niagara Falls, Niagara region, St. Catharines. So the ad had just, everybody just got their Yellow Pages. And back then in the 80s and 90s, people waited for that phone book because that's where everybody did business. So
of course.
The phone rang and off I went the next day. And still to this day, we focus on that. First to the door win. So when people phone our call center now, which, we're in our call center here in our corporate office, we have over 1,000 phone calls a day come in here.
Dude, that's awesome.
And pick up the phone and get somebody out there today, if not today, first thing tomorrow morning.
Wow.
And we still focus on that.
Now, Bill, do you remember the first time you made $100,000 in a year?
Yes.
Is that year one off the Yellow Pages?
No, it wasn't year one. I think the first year in operation was $60,000.
Woo, that's a big 60.
It was.
And what, in 89, I mean, that's like $1 million today, right?
I don't know if it was $1 million. A couple 100,000 maybe. I don't know.
Might be something, but yeah. Which year was this, and like what was kind of happening? I guess, was it still just you and the truck? Did you start building a team at this point?
First year was myself and a truck and a friend who was kind of in between jobs. Hey, come on, help me with this. And then he came on full time and just slowly started growing, started getting into more cities. Went to Niagara, then the Yellow Pages in Hamilton hit in December, then up to Kitchener, Cambridge area in February. So I just kept growing and putting more ads and more Yellow Page directories, and the business just kept growing, hiring more people, more trucks, and getting the systems in place that we're still using to this day.
Wow. So it seems like it was pretty linear, and just constant growth from the jump and literally just snowballing and growing.
Kept snowballing, and even to this day, is still linear. We had our best month ever in 35 years in our Hamilton territory. Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax, Maryland, Minnesota. So we're still
Wait,
growing.
so you just had your best month in each of these locations?
Each of those locations, each of those franchise locations had their best months ever in terms of, well, my founder locations, which I still own and operate in Ottawa, Montreal. So so we're still growing.
And what was best? Like, was that like a number of sales? Was it a number of raccoons lives saved?
Yeah,
Was
we're
it
talking
like,
revenue streams.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest revenue months ever.
And how? Give me a range. I don't need the exact number, but like ballpark, so that we know where we're at now, and then we'll go back and we'll get.
So in May, which is a very high revenue month, all the babies are born. You got baby raccoons, baby squirrels, baby birds. They're all out there in May.
Yeah.
So it's one of our higher revenue months ever. So we were probably all across all the franchise locations, probably over 2 million in sales last month.
Congrats, man. That's a record. How's it feel?
That's unbelievable that we're still growing.
35 years, baby. We're breaking records.
A lot more than 60 grand.
Yeah.
In 1 year. We're doing that in 1 month. Yeah.
That's awesome. You probably did that in a day. That's insane, man.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive. Yeah. So
yeah, go ahead. So now it's building. It's slowly growing. You're in these local cities, right? How do you decide which places you're going to start expanding into?
Right. Great question. I started Hamilton, all the areas around Hamilton. We kind of skipped Toronto because Toronto was such a big metropolitan area.
Yeah.
I went to Ottawa because I played junior hockey, and I thought, Ottawa's got to have animals. They got the green belt there. They got the Ottawa Canal, river. Okay, so that was successful. Then on a whim, we said, all right, well, Montreal's only an hour and a half, 2 hours from Ottawa.
It's close.
Let's go there. Yeah, we didn't speak a word of French.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a challenge, going into Quebec and not speaking French, and everything had to be bilingual. And so that was a real learning curve. And so we just kept growing. And I proved the concept that no matter where you are in Canada, that people have animals, they have rodents. So then about 10 years ago, we said, let's get into franchising and franchise US and Canada, and basically any city in North America needs our services.
So back then, when you say we set up a new location in Ottawa, in Hamilton, in Montreal, for example, what does like a new location setup actually look like? Is it just a truck in someone's driveway with a bunch of tools in the back? Like, what does, when you say we expanded to a new territory, like, how do you know like you actually expanded? Like,
right,
because like you could just drive and service someone in Montreal. I mean, a little bit lengthy of a drive, but when you say, what, we're here now. Right. We've established a base. What does that mean? Does that mean like you have an HQ? Does it mean there's just a truck on the road? Like, what does that mean?
Right. So because Ottawa, Montreal are what we call my founder locations, I still own and operate that. I have supervisors and managers in those cities. So we would basically plant a flag in Ottawa, send somebody up there. There's your truck. All admin work and phone answering to maintain control stayed in our corporate office here in Hamilton. So and still to that day, we have new franchise coming in. Vancouver, Coquitlam, his phone is answered here in Hamilton. So the call center, about 1,000 phone calls a day. 1 minute talking to somebody in Montreal, next minute someone in Maryland, next minute someone in Atlanta. So they're talking to people all over, and through technology, our customer service reps that are answering the phone calls, they see, oh, this is a call from Atlanta. Oh, this one's from Maryland. Oh, this one's from Halifax. So
now, when did the volume start picking up like that? Was it back in the Yellow Pages days that the phone was ringing off the hook at that rate? Like, when did it get to a volume that you said, we need a call center right now?
Yeah, I think when we switched everything from Yellow Pages to online. We spent a lot of money on our website and SEO and generating those leads and content on the internet. I think that's when we really saw the increase, and that Google recognizes us as the industry leader. So we're being fed up to or fed in their feeds when people do a search. For example, we'll get more hits to our website in the US than we do in Canada.
Wow.
And in states and cities that we're not even advertising, because Google says, well, you have a raccoon problem? Well, here's people that we know that are building the content on the web saying, well, take a look at Skedaddle. So we might get a call from Kentucky and say, sorry, we're not in Kentucky, but hey, do you want to buy a franchise?
Yeah. So talk to me about that decision, because I mean, look, I wasn't in business early 2000s. Like, I was barely around, right? So I'm like, ooh, the internet. Let me play, Pinball 2000 on this Windows 98 computer, right? Like, oh, we got all these lights and all these sounds and a keyboard and stuff. And as I started getting older and hearing about businesses during that transition, even as I was getting into my teens and early 20s, there's some businesses that's like, yeah, the internet's not for me, right? So what was your approach and your thought around this whole internet as it came out? Like, can you walk us through what it was like being a business owner at that time when the internet was coming out and you have this decision to either pursue this or not pursue this? Like it seemed like you're all over it now. You're an influencer. You got your YouTube channel. You got thousands of subscribers, right? Like now it's mature. It's here. People know.
Right.
But back then,
the old dial-up days, we had to wait and the sounds, and you didn't really know. But then, kind of saw that okay, things are changing here, and Yellow Pages weren't as, as focal point anymore. And then, we used to track where every single phone call came from.
Okay.
Where'd you hear from us? You see our truck on the road, word of mouth, Yellow Pages. So we saw our numbers going down with Yellow Pages, and started, we had our website.
And what is this? This is you just checking it off on a box, and then in a meeting, you guys are reviewing it like, okay, how many people?
Right.
Just simple as that.
Stats and data, we analyze that and say, okay, well, how many, that page, and back then in Yellow Pages, we were in a number of headings. We were under pest control, we're under animal control, we're under bird control. So we know how many calls came in that bird ad. That makes sense. And we're seeing more and more come in the internet. So it was a very, very scary decision to say, okay, we're getting out of Yellow Pages. Everything now is going to go online. And, when majority of our calls were coming from the Yellow Pages, and okay, let's pull the plug. So it was some scary times, but we've never looked back.
Of course, man. And what year did you guys pull out of the Yellow Pages?
Oh, geez.
Sorry, I don't mean to date or anything like that, We're talking Yellow Pages, like, let's be real.
Yeah. Do you remember Yellow Pages?
Probably. I didn't know what it was though. We just always had this big book. I'm like,
I
don't even understand what this thing is.
Yeah, and back then you waited for the new Yellow Pages to come out.
Everybody was waiting, and they're like, I'm just waiting on the Yellow Pages. That was the thing. Okay.
Yeah, I'd run I'd be in different cities. Where's the Yellow Pages? You go to phone books and pull the Yellow Pages out to see my ad. But
crazy.
I think it was back in the early 2000s that we slowly made over the course of a year, because Yellow Pages all don't come out at the same time. Niagara region might come out in July, Hamilton in December.
So are they like a once a year thing?
Once a year, yeah. And, you have to do your ads every year. So I was spending so much time, preparing, okay, looking at the data, how much, that ad, I added color, I added this, like how much more revenue did I generate? How many leads came in from that compared to the ad last year? And looking at all these numbers and figures. And so when we finally got online, it was a real boost to our revenue, and still is to this day. When a new franchise owner comes in, we start our programs because we know the keywords that people search. Like if someone has a raccoon in the attic, do they search raccoon in attic, raccoon removal, get rid of raccoons? So we know all these key phrases that, and the time of month that people search these, because we've been around so long and we analyze all this data almost on a daily basis.
Wow. And what information is most important to you these days? Like what types of things do you have your finger on the pulse? Because I know some people are like, oh, I got this many likes on my post, right? Like you probably don't care about the likes on your post or the, how many people watched your YouTube channel. Like what types of things are you paying attention to? Bill specifically. I know the company and different departments are paying attention to different metrics, but to you, what are some of those key metrics?
Key metrics being, where these calls are coming from in our online searches and how many people have come to our website.
Okay.
Are we answering the calls quickly within 30 seconds?
Okay.
Are we getting staff out quickly? We like to be first to the door. So if someone phones us with a squirrel problem or a skunk problem today, we want to get somebody out there today.
Wow.
At the very least tomorrow.
Yeah.
And see what's going on. It's, we want to be that great customer service, because when people finally have a problem and call us, they're ready to buy. It's not like they hear noises one day and say, I got to call somebody.
I'm just shopping around. No, bro.
They're ready to buy. They're what's that in my attic? What's going on? They've heard it for about a month, 2 months, 3 months. They pick up the phone.
There's intent.
So we're answering the phone and we're getting out quickly. And we strive that with our franchisees. That when you're booking like 2 weeks out, and I do have some franchises that are out there that you phone, I'll be out there in 2 weeks. It's like all that revenue that's going away.
Gone.
Hire more people, get more trucks on the field, because this business is in high demand.
Wow. It's crazy, because you don't know that you have a pest problem until you have a pest problem.
Right.
And by that point, you got to solve this now.
Right. I can't come out to your house, Javon, and say, hey, let me screen those vents. Let me screen those chickens. You're like, Bill, I haven't had a problem. I don't need it. But when you have a problem, you say, Bill, I should have put some
It's like health, dude. You know how they have that saying where, until you all these things in your life that are problems. You think they're problems until you have a health problem, and that's your only problem.
Right.
Right. It's the same thing with raccoons. I remember we did this renovation, and like we took down part of the roof, and there was a whole family of raccoons living in the dormer. There's squirrels on lookout on the rooftop. Like, I'm like, where is this, your house or my house? Like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Now, remember when you were a hockey player and you were thinking about this transition? Like when you were still in that, were you thinking about retiring from the league and going into some new endeavors? Like what was your perspective on leaving hockey and getting into business, or like leaving hockey and life after hockey? Well, this is a question from one of our past guests. I was having a conversation with Janice from Foodpreneur Labs. I think she's episode 44 or so. She's going to be dropping like a couple of weeks from today, but when this drops, it'll be a couple months ago. So if you go back and look at episode 44 with Janice, I bumped into her the other day and she asked, when did you start planning your transition?
Yeah, I think for any athlete, because you spend so much time and energy, you're dedicated, you follow systems.
Yeah.
So as I was playing, I was thinking, okay, what's it going to look like after? What am I going to do? I have no skills because all I did was play hockey my entire life. So, I thought, okay, well, I'll go back to school. I thought I'd be a phys ed teacher, and that didn't work out.
But why did that not work out? Like, you're this fit guy, you could probably dust all these kids on the ice. It probably fired you up too, right? To see all these people like, going through your training and getting better at the things and saying, Mr. Dowd, you're so awesome. Like you're probably the cool gym teacher too, right?
I thought I could have been, yeah. But, life has some changes, and I didn't get into teachers college, and I had to pivot and say, okay, well, what can I do? And, back then being young and, okay, climbing roofs and out in attics, and this great workout, and this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, it just kind of evolved, and just business kept growing. And
so you didn't even think about it until it was actually in your hands, right? Like,
I mean, when I was playing hockey, I took some courses. I was going to be, financial advisor or something like that.
Okay.
Is that really for me? When you're an athlete or as a business person, you love the challenge, right? You want to grow something. Anyone who has that entrepreneurship in them, they want to grow, right?
Yeah,
like
all the time.
Say, as we were talking, you want to go,
Dude,
right?
I just want to go. Like, I don't even care. I don't care what it is. I just want to go. I just want to do stuff.
Yeah, and that's when you have something you love.
Yeah.
No matter what a business you own or business you're in, if you love going to work and you want to grow and you're determined to do it, and the old saying, there is no substitute for hard work.
Yeah.
You work hard, you're going to be successful in life.
100%. So I'm really curious, right? Like, let me figure out how to word this. Give me one sec.
I'll take a drink then.
That sounds good. So now you have all these corporate owned locations. You're growing all over the country, and you say, you know what, I'm going to franchise. I could either keep going corporate owned and keep growing at the steady pace that I'm going, or I could franchise. First off, before you walk me through the decision, we know what the decision was. You decided to franchise, but how long were you thinking about that? Because that was probably on your mind, no?
Yeah, probably from day one.
Really?
When I started, I thought, let's get this going. Let's develop the systems, the training programs, like get everything developed. And owning most of Southern Ontario, Ottawa, Montreal.
Yeah.
I think right now I have over 100 employees, over 100 vehicles on the road. That's a lot on my plate.
You got
right?
a nice car collection, eh?
Yeah, they all got raccoons or mice on them. Yeah. I just thought, okay, there's an awful lot on my plate.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy seeing people be successful.
Okay.
Whether it be someone who we hire as a technician assistant or apprentice, then grows up and becomes a supervisor or manager.
Yeah.
But now I can offer that to someone who's going to own their own business, and they can, start and hire their first employee and hire, 4 or 5 employees and have 10 trucks on the road, and they're growing, and that they can learn from my mistakes that, hey, we're an open book. You got an idea, bring it forward. But you know what? I might say, we tried that. That didn't work.
Yeah.
But
you
want to try it, good. But so you're going to learn from, the mistakes we've made over these years, and you're going to be able to scale your business a lot quicker as a franchisee, that you're putting your own money into it and following the true proven system that we have here at Skedaddle.
Yeah, but why not just corporate owned? Like, why go franchise?
Like I said, I think, enough on my plate where I have to worry about, okay, I got to find a manager, put them in place.
Okay.
Say we want to go to Denver.
Yeah.
Well, how do I find somebody in Denver to be my manager and run it versus I got someone who wants to own a business, who has an entrepreneurship vibe in him. Maybe he works for corporate America and he's getting tired of the corporate, the grind of the day to day. He wants to be his own business, have better work-life balance, spend more time with his family. Maybe he wants to, get people a better life. Our franchisee in Southern Maryland, he's a 22-year Navy vet, and he said, Bill, everyone loves to say, oh, hey, we want to hire vets, and they paid their dues and service to the country, but no one really hires them because they've been in the military and they don't have the skill set. He said, I want to hire people who are coming out of the military, like I did, and help them and let them grow in civilian life. So that's a real feel-good story, I feel.
Yeah. Now, so you have 15 or so franchisees right this moment, right? Now, how did the first one find you? And like, did you come up with the franchise model first and find someone to fit that? Or did somebody come to you and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this might be the person, right? Because sometimes people come into your life and your whole plan changes just because you see the skill set that they have. All of a sudden you start getting ideas. Right. All of a sudden things start changing and you're like, I see something.
Great question. So I wanted to get into franchising with Skedaddle. So there's a company in the US and they're actually in 55 countries. They're the biggest family-owned pest control company in the world. A company called Truly Nolan Pest Control. Okay. So I used to take my boys down to Florida when they were younger, and
you're like, we're not going to Disney World. We're going to Truly Nolan.
Well, no. The first time I was there, I'm driving down the road. I see this yellow Volkswagen with ears on it. Okay. So the ears pop up when they're driving, and when you come to a stop sign, they go down. Stoplight, they go down. So that's brilliant. Look at that marking, because back then, pest control, it was always, they show up in an unmarked vehicle. And here was a company that said, no, I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm going to market that. Kind of what we were doing with wildlife control. People would say, oh, I don't want that truck in our driveway. Sorry, we're proud of what we do. It's got a big raccoon on it. It's in your driveway. You don't like it? I'm sorry, but we're proud of what we do. So I thought, that's kind of interesting. And I came back to Canada because we were in all these yellow pages. I spend $500,000 a year in yellow pages. I see Truly Nolan in a small, remote Smith Falls outside of Ottawa. Okay. Why this big U.S. conglomerate is in Smith Falls.
You saw them in Smith Falls.
In Canada.
So wait, you saw them in the States first and then you saw them in Canada.
Okay, outside of Ottawa. What's going on here? So I researched it. Anyhow, I saw that they were in Canada. We went in and partnered with them to be the master franchise for all of Canada.
First partnership, first time partnering with someone.
Right. Whoa. So we kind of worked.
So you're walking in unknown territory.
Walking in unknown territory, but at least we added pest control services. We were part of Truly Nolan for a while, and then we had an amicable separation, and they were part of owning Skedaddle. Okay. So we gave their shares back to Truly Nolan. Sorry, we gave the shares of Skedaddle back to them. They gave the shares for Truly Nolan back to us. So we kind of went amicably our separate ways. So that kind of started. Okay, well now we're going to start franchising the Skedaddle methods.
Okay, it was after the Truly Nolan.
Yeah. So back to the question. Our first franchisee was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, because he was a Truly Nolan franchise, and we were actually at the it's called the IFA, International Franchise Conference Association in. I think we were in New Orleans then. Okay. And, we were at this conference and he called me and said, hey, Bill, I met one of my pest control, because we were still part of Truly Nolan, one of my pest customers, and they got a raccoon in the attic. What do I do? So I basically, his first job, and he wasn't even part of Skedaddle, I said, okay, here's what you got to do, Andrew. Go in the attic, do this, do that. He goes, oh, Bill, that was so easy. I said, well, they're not always that easy. Yeah. So then he said, well, I should buy a Skedaddle franchise. I said, yes, you should. So that's kind of what started. And now he's our first franchisee, great operator. Yeah. Halifax, he expanded into Truro, Nova Scotia. Last year, he bought the rest of the province of Nova Scotia. Wow. And he's purchasing all of New Brunswick. So he's one of our great operators.
You ever think you'd be selling provinces?
No.
What a crazy guy, right?
Yeah, right.
Not just, I just sold all in Nova Scotia.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then, he's also talking PI. So basically all of Atlantic Canada. Okay. Eventually, Andrew would probably have ownership of all of Atlantic Canada. So let's get another feel-good story. He started with one truck, and actually we celebrated, he had $1 million in sales last year.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Was it Andrew you said?
Andrew, yeah.
Congrats, Andrew, man. Great job. Yeah, that's really cool. Holy. So now that he's the first franchise, I'm sure you probably learned a ton throughout that experience of bringing him on. But even before, so when you go back to Truly Nolan? Yeah. What were some of your favorite lessons that you learned from them?
Marketing and support your franchise. So when we bought it, because massive company.
Yeah.
They said 55 countries in
Okay.
America. So we went down to America for training.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, okay, well, how do you deal with ants?
Okay.
Well, you got to use this product or that product, this material. We're like, well, that's not authorized for use in Canada. Oh,
Yeah.
good luck to you. I just invested all this money.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we came to Canada. They already had 5 or 6 franchise locations, and I was adding that truly known pest to my Skedaddle locations.
Okay.
So
So they were specifically the pest business, not the wildlife.
Not right.
business.
They don't do wildlife. They
Pest.
focus on pests.
Pest being.
Yeah. So our definition of
How do
pest
you
is
define
creepy crawlies. Spiders, ants.
Dude, I live downtown. There's pests everywhere.
Yeah. Wildlife is fur and feathers.
Okay.
So fur and feathers versus the creepy crawlies.
Fur and feathers, creepy crawler.
Yeah.
Good to know. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
So they had a number of locations truly known in Canada. So we went and visited each of them. They're like, oh,
Okay.
well, this, that, you could do this, you could do that. I said, well, where's the manual? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the one that's going to be out killing these bugs.
No,
Like, where's the manual? Oh, we don't have one. So we had to make all the manuals for
Wow.
all of Canada. So that helped me in terms of, okay, if we're going to be franchising Skedaddle,
This is what we need.
where's the manual?
Mhm.
What do you do for squirrels? What do you do for your raccoons? So, real learning process
Yeah.
with that.
So now you're at this point where you've built out all these manuals. Now, how do you keep people accountable to actually sticking to them? I remember there's times when I worked in like restaurants and stuff like that, and they have all these manuals, but let's say you work in like a smaller, like lower tier brand. They start losing control. Chefs want to start, and the cooks want to start adding their own sauce to things. They want to start adding because we could do it a little better if we add a sweet chili instead of just ketchup, for
Right.
example. You know what I mean? And so, like, how do you keep control? That's a question from Shanae. I think she was episode 43. I was with her yesterday, and she says she's interested in potentially franchising, but she's a bit fearful. Like, how do I keep control and actually hold people accountable? So I'm curious now with so many franchisees, right?
Yeah, with our franchisees, obviously it's follow the playbook.
Okay.
You want to be successful, follow the playbook.
Yeah.
Don't diverge. Or if you want to, hey, I got an idea. Well, okay, we'll research it, develop it, maybe, and then we'll roll it out to the whole system. So that the value of having more people can add great ideas and new systems.
Yeah.
But we offer our call center to our franchisees. They don't have to use it, but if they want to, why not? We're open 7 days a week from 7 in the morning to 10 at night.
And we take all these calls all day.
All
We
day
know
long.
the scripts.
Someone comes home from work at 7 o'clock at night. They're phoning. They're not going to wait till the next morning if they've had enough.
Yeah, they had a crazy day at work, and all of a sudden they come home and all they hear is, and it's like, what? Like,
or
what is
raccoons running around their bedroom because they came down the chimney, opened up the damper, and is in the bedroom with them. So,
are you serious?
oh yeah, that happens all the time. I
oh.
can write a book on some of the stories we've
smokes,
seen.
yeah.
So, we're maintaining it that way. That here's your appointments, and through technology, it gets sent to them. And if they don't show up for appointment, they're going to call the call center. Where's your person? So that's where we have to call and speak with the franchise. What happened there? Oh, okay, well, you should be calling them. So just being in constant contact, and I have a whole support team that supports our franchisees. So they're talking quite regularly. Sometimes when you first launch a franchise, you're gonna have a lot of us on speed dial. What do I do here? What about this? And what about that? So just constant contact helps maintain that control.
Yeah. So you end up getting to this point where the business is growing. You're in multiple provinces, multiple cities, and then all of a sudden you decide to buy a truly Nolan franchise. Why? If you're so successful already, right? You've got this big operation. What was your thought around that? Yeah, like what was that? Like if you're so successful already, like why are you buying a franchise? You already built a system. Why are you buying someone else's, right? I just curious, right? Like I'm really curious, like where that came from.
I'm of course being very competitive, being a former pro athlete. I always want to grow. I want to get bigger.
Okay.
So I'm always looking for that opportunity. And we're in the home service industry. We're at people's homes. So we were seeing ants. We were seeing spiders. We were seeing hornets. So it's like, well, why aren't we doing this? But then the biggest was mice. So we would drive, from Hamilton to Oakville in rush hour, an hour drive, do an hour inspection. People are saying, oh, it's raccoons. You go up in the attic, look at everything. Sorry, ma'am, it's mice. But what do you do? Well, you got to call somebody else. Right. So that, okay, well, I need an alternative solution. And, we found out how we can mouse-proof homes eventually. We started getting into that, but mice-proofing homes can be quite expensive. You have to see the
small, super small holes, right?
Size of a dime. And on every home, there's lots of areas. So
Yeah.
we've started focusing on that, and we can mouse-proof homes, but sometimes just financially people can't afford it. You know, it could be some big dollar tickets, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 jobs, which takes, you know, a lot of time, a lot of men, labor. So by giving them an option that, you know, with pest control, you can do rodent stations. So that gave them the option, which is a little less expensive. You know, these bait boxes that are outside, you know, $500, $600. So that gives them another option. But a lot of times that doesn't solve the problem, because it's called pest control, not pest elimination.
Yeah.
So they might see another mouse run across the kitchen table and they're going, oh, Bill, let's seal up the house. Like, you know, so that's kind of got us in. It gives us more flexibility to offer people a solution versus calling the competitor who's going to come out and put down, you know, the bait stations or what have you. So,
got it. Now, do you remember the first time you did 100 grand in a month?
Yes.
Yeah. When was this? It must have still been Yellow Pages days.
Right.
Yeah.
It was, because once again, we have monthly targets, sales targets that our team, our technicians, everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction. Here's our target. Let's go get it. And just a sense of accomplishment every month. So,
wow.
Yeah, way back in the Yellow, holy smokes, like, wow. So, that's pretty impressive.
So hold on. So you guys, when did you implement that, by the way? Like targets and stuff, like day one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
My first employee is like, okay, we want to this is our target for this month. So we have 30 years of history. So when a new franchise comes on board, you know, we could look at what the most recent franchise did, or we can go back 5 years, 10 years. All right, here's the growth projection. So we have all those stats and figures.
And are they targets as in like, here's what you want your outcome to be, or here's what we need your input and your work to be? Like, what does that look like? How are you guys setting goals?
Just based on historical data.
Okay.
That we know that May is a busy season because all the babies have been born, they're all active, versus November, where temperature is changing, there's more rodent calls, snow gets involved. So we say, okay, well, sales can't be as high then for the wildlife portion of it. Of course, we got into the Christmas decorating, which helps add on to the revenue. But so we have all this historical data that we can analyze. You know, we have chartered accountants on staff that look at this, and people that love their spreadsheets. I'm not a spreadsheet guy, but they can say, oh, you know. So a great team, you know, and to grow a business, you need great teammates. And, you know, I got some great staff here that help us grow it. And
that's incredible. So 4 different business lines. We got pest control, we got rodent control, we got Christmas lights, and attic restoration,
and soon to be mosquito control.
Sorry,
we are doing mosquito control in Toronto and Hamilton. We're testing it out. We tested it out last year, but we brought it, you know, now that we're servicing clients. And next year we're going to be rolling that out to the entire franchise system, because there are franchise concepts out there that just do nothing but mosquitoes. So I think, well, we have the trucks. It's the same products. You know, our pest trucks are different from our wildlife trucks. So the pest guys, whether they're out dealing with spiders or ants, dealing with mosquitoes, it's the same thing. So it's just a natural progression to add on that, you know, we can be that full service company.
Yeah.
Wildlife, pests.
So when did you start adding these different services? You know, because a lot of people, right, myself included, right, we've got like a core line of products that we sell, right? And it's like, okay, we have this. Sure, we want more revenue, but do we just push harder on the same button, or do we add another button, for example, right? Like, do I just keep, like, how do you know when's the right time to pivot and when's the right time to start looking at adding new services, in your opinion?
I think I just kept putting the foot to the door on the floor with wildlife, and I was like, okay, there's pest control companies out there, and they said, I think I can do things better than anybody else. So okay, let's get into the pest control. Right?
But at what point though? Is it like, did you plateau, for example, where things still growing? Did you just have time on your hands? Like, did you just get bored and all of a sudden be like, yeah, I've got an extra 30 hours a week, let me just do this thing? Or was it like a call? Like, what did that look like for you at the time? And I know it was a while ago. I'm asking you to go back in the vault and like pull out some old decision-making notebook where it's like, okay, we could either do A or B, you know.
I think it was just, you see the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, you're at a job site, a lot of times with bats. In bat season, which is August, coming in July, August, September, we do an awful lot of bat work. And it was like every single job we went to with bats, there was wasps.
Okay.
And people say, oh, can you kill those wasps? Well, no, I'm not a licensed pest operator. I can't.
Okay.
You know, well, can you just spray some Raid? Well, no, you can't, because even doing that's against the laws. So I thought, okay, well, I'm missing an opportunity here. We can't do this bat work until you get rid of the wasps. So well, why don't we just
Why don't we do the
start
wasp?
doing it ourselves? Because then I maintain control. I can get my guys out, deal with the wasp. We can do the bat work. So
Wow.
it's just kind of evolving like that. And then with the Christmas business, you know, here in Canada, you can get some pretty lean, you know, December, you got, well, there's Christmas, and you get January, February, snowfall, and what have you. So we started in the Christmas, and I thought, okay, just keep my guys busy. Something to do for, you know,
3 weeks.
October, November, December, right?
Yeah, 4
then
months,
then we have to take it down in January, February.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, well, we got to buy more product. We can't keep up. And, you know, because we have the trucks, we have the ladders.
We got the staff.
We got the staff,
crew.
right.
We got the additional capacity.
Right.
Because
most people are like, how do you go from, you know, catching raccoons, squishing bugs, and hanging Christmas lights?
Same customer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You're in that home. You say, here, we offer a service. And we got the trucks, we got the ladders, and let's do this. It's a fun business too, because when people have, you know, if you have a raccoon in your home or a mouse, and
uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, like if you got to change tires in your car or new brakes, it's $1,000. Oh, you got to do it.
But the sentiment around the Christmas season, they love you so much more.
Exactly.
That's my Christmas lights guy. I'd much
That's
rather
right. People love it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a real feel good. Like we have staff that will take their families, their spouse, and their kids out. Look what I did today.
Yeah.
Because the pictures really don't do it justice. When you see a house we've decorated, it's like, oh my goodness, look how beautiful this looks.
So you think you got the best house on your block, or what?
I would think so, yeah. We might use that. We might use my home or some of my managers' homes as a training house when we get new staff in, because we're so in demand with Christmas. Okay, let's go do Bill's house.
Well, hey man, look, if you need a couple of houses, I'm sure we got some people. Maybe we could do. Hey, drop a Christmas light emoji below, and maybe Bill might come hook you guys up. Hey, no, I'm just joking. But that's cool, man. So when, like, do all these ideas come from the brain of Bill, or they're coming from franchisees? They're coming from people on the ground, coming from a call center, like. Where are all these ideas coming from? You got a ton of energy.
I think a lot of it, you know, I might have some, but then it comes from everyone. As I said, we don't have a closed door. You got a better way to do things. Like how we deal with wildlife nowadays is so different from 30 years ago, 20 years, 10 years ago. With technology and new devices. And, you know, we have our newest franchisee in town right now from Atlanta doing training. And me and Corey, my director of training, has been with me 25 years. You know, we're like, yeah, remember when we used the ladder would be straight up and down. We had to be like monkeys and climb around the back. And nowadays we don't, there's different systems we have in place. Like, that we've grown it, that we're not out there climbing ladders, you know, at our ages now. We have people who are working for us, and how different the company's evolved over these years. So I think no matter what business you're in, as a business owner, you always have to keep growing. Yeah.
So this question is a follow-up from Shanae as well. Same Honey Soul Food. I think episode 43. She asked, how do you ensure everyone's voice is being heard?
We have, you know, weekly meetings.
Okay.
You know, now with we have chat groups.
Okay.
You know, the sales team might all have a chat group and say, hey, you know, what'd you sell today? Oh, I did all this. Or technicians have groups. Our U.S. franchises have their own chat group. You know, because they say, well, we're a little bit different than Canadians. And, well, you are, but you know, we have to be in there to help you. Yeah. For example, recently you know, safety is first here at Skedaddle. You know, we're fully tied off on homes to protect not only our staff, it's this job. We want to make sure everybody gets home safely every single day.
Yeah.
But homeowners don't want somebody getting injured on their roof or what have you. So we're fully tied off. So, you know, I learned the hard way. You know, I used to buy these cheap harnesses and stuff. Oh, they're terrible. They're uncomfortable. So we buy the top of the line now. But, you know, some of our American franchises, there's a little chat group. They're like, oh, we'll just buy the cheap and save money. It's like, and then same complaints. So, you know what? If you have an idea, bring it forward. We'll say, no, don't waste your money on that, because this is what we learn from our mistakes. So
wow, it seems like you've built a real culture where all the franchisees and business owners can listen and learn from each other. I think that's really cool. That there's almost like a community aspect, right? Like all the franchise owners, all the probably GMs, right? Everybody's talking on like a day-to-day basis and really building stuff. And like you mentioned before, rowing in the same boat.
Right. You have to have that. We don't want to be like stuffy corporate America or Canada where we're wearing suits and ties and you don't talk. My door's always open. Come in and let's chat. Let's talk. Let's figure it's our problem. Let's figure out a solution. Or you're not happy about something. Well, let's figure out how to do this. But yeah, we have great people in the system, whether it's my staff or franchisees that are coming in that, you know, very, very talented people.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be people that are MBAs or accountants that are coming in, owning Skedaddle franchise, saying, hey, I got the entrepreneurial spirit and, you know, I want to grow something. I want a better life. And, you know, the better people we get in the system makes us all better.
Yeah. Wow. Rising tide rises all ships, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool because a lot of like natural progression for, players, they want to be coaches. And it's really cool to see like, yeah, you're still a coach, right?
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not playing hockey anymore, but I'm coaching.
You're playing something.
Coaching staff, coaching new employees.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still kind of doing coaching or teaching. I said I wanted to be a teacher and didn't get into that teacher's college, but I'm still teaching, we had a week of training here with our newest Atlanta franchise.
Cool.
We're teaching this. Here's how you put your ladder up. Here's how you get your ladder off your truck. Here's how you screen an entry area.
Yeah.
Here's how you screen a chimney. Here's what you look for mice or bats. So yeah, constantly teaching and helping people be successful.
That's really cool. Now, do you remember the first time you did 100K in a day?
Yes.
Okay.
That was probably recently,
Congrats.
That
Congrats,
we're looking
dude.
at that. Yeah, it's stunning that
It's wild,
that
isn't
I've
it?
grown. We have this many trucks out there, and
Yeah.
we'll say to potential franchisees or even clients, we see more homes. We're probably visiting the entire system over 200 homes today. Like there's some of our competition that aren't even going to see 200 homes in a year.
In a year, yeah.
But we're seeing them in a day.
In a day. That's insane.
So there's not a lot we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
we get an alligator in Florida or Georgia, I've got probably
So
10 guys that want to jump on a plane and say, Bill, I want to get down there. I want to go help them out.
So here's the magic question. So pests are creepy crawlies and rodents are
Fur and feathers.
What's an alligator?
That's a great reptile. Something scaly. But it's the same principle, whether we're keeping an alligator out from underneath somebody's deck or a bear in Sudbury or
BC.
BC.
Yeah.
West Vancouver, North Vancouver. Wow. It's the same concept. We're going to animal proof the structure because that's where most people don't understand. If they have a wildlife problem, they think, get out here, set a trap it, take it away. Well, 70% of relocated animals die. And then it just allows animals from outlying areas to move into your neighborhood.
Yeah.
So the solution with any wildlife is to animal proof your home.
Okay.
So that's where we make the most of our revenue is animal proofing structure. So I said, animal proofing to keep a raccoon, squirrel, crocodile, or bear out, same thing.
Still proof.
Proof. Yeah.
Now, what is it that you guys know at Skedaddle about homes, pests, rodents that the average person doesn't?
Yeah, nowadays with the internet, there's all kinds of information out there.
You can find it all on the Skedaddle blog. Just go.
Yeah, or my cousin told me this, or a friend of a friend told me to do this. So everybody, unfortunately, with wildlife is an expert.
Yeah.
But really, there's a lot of fallacies out there and untruths, and you really have to say, a lot of people still think they don't realize the scale of this business. Like some of our sales staff say, "Oh, I was talking to your spouse on the phone," and said. No, like there's a lot of people in this company and it's legitimate business. So just saying that we've been doing this 35 years and there's probably hundreds of thousands of jobs we've done over the course of 35 years. Yeah.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
So what are you most proud of? When you look back at what it is that you built so far, what kind of warms your heart the most?
It's just that I could have made a difference with other people's lives, that give them something that they enjoy doing, that, a lot of my senior managers or senior leadership team have been with me over 20 years.
Yeah.
And
it's insane to see. Like I'm here to talk. Someone's like, yeah, I've been here for 15. Yeah, I've been here for 20. I'm like, what? Dude, I'm like 20 something. I'm 31. But it's like, what? You've been here for how long? You know, and it's crazy to think of.
Yeah, just treating people fairly, right? And respectfully and, being flexible. And that it's a fun job. That it's still. Like I said, we're training our newest Atlanta franchise, and yesterday we had an emergency call, and that's when an animal's in the structure. Whether it be a squirrel come down a chimney or a raccoon, we're getting into bat season. So this is a call with a bat inside a house. So still after 35 years, you go into this tiny little bathroom, and you go in, and your adrenaline's pumping. That there's the bat. Right, how are we going to get it and get it? And so still to this day, or first babies, like once we get out of baby season, you're waiting till next spring. When are we gonna get and raccoons are always our first baby. So when their babies come, we used to have a baby pool and everybody's so excited. So even to this day, getting out 35 years later and going on a job where I'm holding those baby rats. Oh, how cool is this?
Yeah. So did you always love animals or like?
Yeah, as a kid, I had cats and dogs and goldfish and
raccoons?
gerbils.
Not raccoons though.
No, but I remember somebody 2 doors down, you walk down a couple stairs and go in their basement. side split, and a skunk had walked in there. So I remember I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and I think back then they called the Humane Society or SPCA, and they responded to those and got the skunk out. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. You see a skunk walk up the steps. So
Yeah.
it kind of was always rolling around the back of my brain that maybe there's something here with this.
That's incredible. And it's so cool that you mentioned like your door's always open. And I really appreciate you leaving it open for us today.
No, this was great. I mean, that's great. Great to be on this opportunity. And who would have thought that animal control is a way to make $100,000?
I know, right? In a month. It's crazy.
Right, a month, yeah.
So here's last episode with Devin from Karen's O'Neill. We came up with a cool question, and I wanna make this like a question that we ask everybody in the show, right? Now, if you were to make $100K a month in cleaning windows, and if you were gonna build a window cleaning company up to $100,000 a month, how would you do it?
Marketing online.
Okay.
And getting good people to help you. You can't do it all yourself. And maybe it's my sports background. Being a hockey player, there's always going to be a goal scorer. There's always going to be people that stop goals.
Okay.
There's always going to be checkers, playmakers.
Yeah.
Same thing with business. Like hiring accountants, hiring someone who has good sales background, IT, online now marketing. Hiring what you don't know. Hire the best to come in and help you and build that team environment, because you can't do it all as a business owner. You have to have good people on your team to be successful.
How has your role changed over the years?
Well, I'm not taking raccoons out of chimneys anymore. I'm not.
So if I call Skedaddle, I'm not gonna get Bill.
You're not gonna get me.
And you're not gonna show up to my door.
I'm not gonna show up to your door.
Damn it.
I still have some old hockey buddies. Hey, Bill, come on and get that right now. Those days are past. So so most of my days now are focused on franchising that. I'm dealing with potential franchise candidates, speaking with them, having them into Hamilton we call it a discovery day or approval day, where they get out and see, touch, and feel the business. Is this going to be right for you? It's going to be right. And that needs to be a good fit, a win-win. Somebody you can sit down and have a beer with, right? You want good people in the system. So that's what I'm really enjoying now.
That's really cool. It's cool to see how it's changed, right? Like you were talking about working the concrete drill, trying to get this crappy drill bit to work to get the skunk out of the pergola, right? Like that's really cool to see how it's evolved. Now you're a YouTuber now. Okay.
Well, I'm not. I got people that do that for me.
Get out of here, dude. You got more subscribers than all of us, right? But I'm really curious. I was reading through the franchise deck, and just like you've got a bunch of line items of all the expenses that go into kind of like the required investment. So it's like, okay, here's the required investment that you need. You're gonna need X amount for this, Y amount for this, Y amount for this. Probably this. The franchise fee is one thing, but the second biggest expense is marketing.
Yes.
Talk to me. Why?
Well, I think most business, you have to spend money online. Initially you have to start with Google AdWords, but then, Google is serving us up a lot more quicker. But, if you want to get those leads, and anything to grow a business, it takes money to make money.
Yeah. 100%.
So you need to put the money out, especially when you're starting a Skedaddle franchise, to get some traction going. But then over time, Google crawls our website. We do a hyper local focus online when we launch a new franchise, but then over time you don't have to spend those dollars as your business grows.
So with that initial, I think it was 9 or 10K or something like that you would spend on marketing, how would you allocate that, being the wizard that you are?
All online. People find us online. Word of mouth, because we're giving exceptional customer service. And you can't miss our bright green trucks with big raccoon or squirrel or skunk on it. So, those are our biggest, lead sources.
Now, who got you on YouTube? Who convinced you? Or who did you convince?
That was probably me when YouTube started, and my kids said, "Oh, you should have a YouTube channel." So, we just kind of got on it. And I always enjoyed photography and filming, and always had, the old SLR cameras and the old camcorders with the cassettes.
Boy, hey man, you make a great model. So if you're ever considering another career, I might have some work lined up for you.
I can run those cameras for you.
So it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, man. Where can people find you? Where can people learn more about what it is that you got cooking up.
Yeah, if you're having a problem with a raccoon or a squirrel or want some Christmas decorating, you know, our Skedaddle website, or Christmas Lights by Skedaddle is our Christmas decorating website.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're interested in franchising, we have our Skedaddle franchising website. It has different information, what have you. But once again, or just phone here to the office, our call center, say, I got to talk to Bill. I'm interested in franchise, or you know, I got a raccoon problem. Well, they'll book your appointment for you. But yeah, so.
That's really cool, man. Maybe we'll take some of the young kids and that we started the show and give them a tour. That might be pretty cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to share with the world before we sign off today?
Just that if you have an animal problem, don't delay. The damage they do just increases day after day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you have to get a reputable company to get them out. Don't trap and relocate. That's not a solution. You know, animal proof your home. People don't realize that. There's so many in the cloak of darkness when we're sleeping. There's a whole world that's going on there. Raccoons, bats, opossums, skunks, everything's active out there.
Yeah.
So we're well past the time where, you know, we're going to get rid of all the animals in our cities.
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like they say in a square kilometer, square mile for our American viewers, you know, there's anywhere from 15 to 50 raccoons.
Wow.
And they only live in a 2-block radius.
It's crazy.
And they have 7 to 10 den sites.
Yeah, wow.
So you do the math on that. That's why we're in such high demand.
Yeah.
7 to 10 den sites within a 2-block radius. Say there's 25, 30 raccoons.
Wow.
That's a lot of homes they're living in.
It's a lot. Yeah. Well, if you do have some pests and some rodents, you can call Batman himself. Here, he will take care of those bats that are creeping around in the thick of the night. Bill, thank you so much for sharing your story on the show 100 Ways to Make 100K, where we're on the hunt to find 100 different ways to make 100 grand a month. This is Bill Dowd, the founder, the CEO, El Presidente of Skedaddle, and how he made his first 100K in a year, 100K in a month, and 100K in a day. Bill, thank you so much.
Thanks, Javon. Great. Hi, I'm Bill Dowd, President, Founder, and CEO of Skedaddle Humane Wildlife Control. Thanks for watching 100 Ways to Make 100K.